While I love LinkedIn, and we've been training people now on LinkedIn for probably about 10 years, one of the reasons we've been successful in training people is because we've made lots of mistakes. We've got things wrong, we've learned, we've developed, we've spotted the things that haven't worked so well, and we've been able to train people on both the things that we know work and some of the common mistakes and pitfalls that we've fallen into and how we went about fixing them. And I thought this newsletter might be useful if we shared just 2 or 3 things that really stood out that made a big difference to us. So first of all, I think one of the big things I really noticed on LinkedIn, and I really got this wrong at first, was not being my full authentic self on LinkedIn. And what do I mean by that? Well, I didn't bring my personal side, I didn't bring some of the things that I do day to day, some of the work related but not necessarily absolutely work focused pieces. Now, why does that help? Well, what we discovered really early on is when we did our first kind of more personal post, as it happened, I was actually stuck and I was looking for some inspiration, and I went for a walk down at the beach. And I just said, I'm a bit stuck, I was building a new course and I was stuck on some of the content and I just needed a bit of headspace. And I shared that out, lovely picture of the sea, and just said, what do you do for inspiration when you're stuck in your job? And that generated a fantastic response. People started talking, engaging and sharing. And it's this kind of piece that you need to bring to LinkedIn. Yes, it is absolutely a business social networking tool, but you can't separate yourself from the business piece. So bring a little bit of the personal side, some of the things you do in and around work, or some of the things that you do for fun, because it brings your whole authentic self to LinkedIn. What else did I get wrong? Well, really simple one, but one that we see repeated time and time and time again. And I got this wrong for certain when I first got on LinkedIn. Just being hard to get a hold of. If you're going to use LinkedIn, you need to make sure that you're easy to access, you're easy to contact, you're easy to engage on LinkedIn. So the fundamentals there are you liking, sharing, commenting on a regular basis from people that are sharing content on LinkedIn around you in your network? And then beyond that, really simple things. Do you have up-to-date and relevant contact details? The amount of times that I see people have old email addresses or personal email addresses that they might not even be aware that they're sharing, or old, that they happened to work for a firm a few years ago, they've still got their website listed. So just have a little look at your contact details on LinkedIn. Are they up to date, and are you easy to engage and start a conversation with on LinkedIn? And then lastly, I think one of the things that I find myself saying more and more when I talked about using LinkedIn as a tool, when we run our workshops, when we run our training, when we do our one-to-ones, I talk about that link between what would you do face-to-face at a conference or a networking event, and how do you replicate that on LinkedIn. And the example I always give is, if you approach your next networking event where you kind of kick the doors open and you stand at the door and shout, hey, I'm fantastic at everything I do, why aren't you buying my stuff? Then try that approach on LinkedIn. It might work for you there just as well as it works face to face. Or, in reality, that approach doesn't work. So what do you do face to face networking? You build relationships, you start conversations, you engage, you share. It's a two-way dialogue. That's the approach you need to take on LinkedIn. And I think when we've got things wrong in the past, we've just pushed information rather than talking, engaging, and starting that two-way dialogue. So 3 key things there that you can take away to think about for this month's newsletter. Are you being your full authentic self on LinkedIn, and what can you share? Are you easy to contact? Are you easy to get in contact with and have a conversation with? And are you thinking, what do you do when you're face to face, and how do you replicate that on LinkedIn? Hope that's useful. Speak to you soon.